Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And she's going to try to muddle through this video. She's not feeling too well this week.
Yeah, I'm sick.
But we're going to talk about something that I don't talk a whole lot about, but she does. Monster High dolls. The reason we're going to talk about Monster High is they're rebooting Monster High, and they're making sure that you know how progressive Monster High is. In fact, that is the marketing for these dolls. Our daughter was a huge fan back in the day.
Yeah, she's no interest.
And it's interesting.
But what else is interesting is we're going to talk too about when they release ones that are based on G1 and they're announced that they're going to continue G1 dolls. I think they knew they done fucked up. And they're trying to bank on that, but that's done in such a shitty way. It's just a big hassle. Because I was up to 3 trying to get these G1 dolls, and that was a nightmare.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, because I think what's going to happen is, Mattel's going to treat this, I think, like they do their other properties, where they're going to have the new improved version that doesn't resonate with people as well as the originals, and then they're going to just kind of go back to the collector market, kind of like they're doing with He-Man now. So we're gonna talk about this. I don't know how this is going to fly with a lot of parents, but we'll see. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 276,000 subs. Woo! Thank you. We do talk about pop culture. We talk about toys. We'll talk about Monster High. This is not a Monster High channel, and if you're a kid, you probably want to tune out, because sometimes we're not very kid-friendly.
I guess I should have said it before I said the word.
But and also trending. What is sexual health?
Yeah, right underneath you. World's oldest bodybuilder, or right above, who posed nude for Men's Health.
Wow. Okay, right next to Monster High. Yeah. So
for children. And I say children in quote. It's for children.
No, Monster High is for young adults, probably young adults who had the original line like 10 years ago. And
yes, but it's only been 10 years.
It's only been 10 years.
Some of Mattel's comments. I'm like, it's only been 10 years.
So a little backstory on Monster High. They were a huge deal about 10, 12 years ago. Mattel inexplicably decided to reboot Monster High and make it more kiddie, I guess.
And it bombed terribly.
And it bombed, and then they disappeared for a while. They did have some collector dolls here and there, but now they're relaunching. But now they're not just like, hey guys, Monster High's back. Now it's like, no, this is like the most diversest, wokest, progressivist doll line you've ever seen.
It is. It's like some of the choices make sense. But a lot of the choices, it's like, let's see how many checkboxes we can shove in on any one of these characters at one time. I mean, you start reading it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's kind of nuts.
And just to remind you, Monster High, I believe, was designed by a gay guy and has always had a pretty large LGBTQ plus
following.
Always
about acceptance, which I'd get behind. And not everything that choices they made are bad. It's just that they're really pushing it, and I think that's the issue. The way they're pushing it, and then the way they're handling things.
This is literally the marketing now. Before it was like, oh, these are cool monster dolls, and it's about, accepting who you are, or whatever. And they were monsters. They were fictitious monsters. Now we got to bring the real world into it.
Yep.
And make sure that, current year.
Well, they even said that on the one post they put on Facebook. The new post they just put up. Here's what it says, okay? Ready for this?
Okay.
Give a wicked welcome to the newest students of Monster High. It's the Boo Crew, reimagined for a new generation, with stories and looks that represent the world kids experience today. Literally, they only stopped making these dolls a few years ago. There wasn't much change in the last few years except for, like, Twitter.
Yeah.
Going back to school can be creepy, and now even our youngest monsters can start the Screamester off with a friend group that celebrates what makes them unique. So they're going for younger kids. Ring in the new school year with new Monster High student dolls starting October 1st. And we're going to tell you all about these dolls. Yeah,
so, okay, so we'll just go with it. But, man, there's like 600 and some
I didn't even read
comments.
the comments.
We'll get to the comments. This is the big story, right? This is from Yahoo Life. So that means that they were doing the press release. Mattel's relaunch of Monster High dolls includes figures with diverse races, body shapes, and gender identity. Now, just to...
Draculaura is basically Glimmer at this point.
Basically, just to walk it back, they did do the really bad live action Monster High.
I don't think it's come out, has it?
Oh, has it? Maybe it's Halloween time, but it looks horrible. But they make sure that you know.
What did they do to poor Abby? She looks like shit.
I don't know. This looks terrible. But they made sure that right out of the gate you knew Frankie is non-binary now.
See, but that one actually made kind of sense.
Well, yeah. So Frankie Stein does make sense, and all the way around because she's made of different parts. They are made of different.
They're non-binary, which actually kind of makes sense. And I do like the prosthetic leg. I think that's actually pretty cool. But I don't know where Frankie's neck is.
Needs to be a machine gun.
And then it's funny because the person that's playing Frankie in the musical version, which God help us all, this is what's weird to me. The person playing Frankie in the musical version is a trans man. So my next comment is, why didn't you just get a trans woman?
I don't know. I can't.
It's a person who was born female, but they are a male, and in their mind, and they are playing a female.
I can't keep track.
I'm like, but why would you do that if you thought you're? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
What gets me about this, and again, regardless of what they want to do, whatever, the marketing for this, literally at this point, is gender identity.
It is. It's all about
politics.
Oh, wait till you get into it.
Oh, yeah.
The characters are nothing like the characters originally were. Like, they're all different. Like, I mean, Claudine's like some mousy little thing now, and that was completely opposite of Claudine. And some of the dolls, I don't hate everything about them. I think some of them are cute, but they're not that character. And it was funny because our daughter was saying about how she likes Dracula dolls. And I said, oh, you like the new one? And she goes, no, I like real Dracula dolls.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, the classics are selling really well.
Yeah, oh, yeah, they can't keep the classics in stock. Anyway, let's talk about these characters and what they are now and how they're just making choices for no reason. Just
to make sure, right here in the caption, the new dolls will include diverse stories and body types. They were freaking fictitious monsters. Globally embraced fashion doll line Monster High is returning on October 1st, introducing a new line of characters which highlight the inclusive messaging at the core of the brand. That's always been the case, but now they're just going to hit you upside the head with it. The characters, including revamps of popular fan favorites, represent a wider array of cultural and ethnic backgrounds. Again, they were fictitious, multicolored monsters, body shapes and sizes, and gender identities.
Yeah, we got to make characters that are pink more, diverse, or, hey, you're kind of green or blue. Well, we got to make sure you're more diverse.
Since launching in 2010, Monster High has been one of the most beloved and successful properties that's part of the Mattel brand. The property encourages a more accepting world where everyone can let their inner monster shine. Yeah, it always did. It always did. The refueling of the franchise kicks off with the reproduction of the original dolls, which haven't been available since 2018.
Okay. A new generation.
Wow. A new generation.
It's been 4 fucking years. A new generation. Now it's called a new cash grab.
New cash grab. Well, yeah, because now we got a bunch of 6 and 8 year olds out there that
we gotta make sure they know all about identity politics.
God.
And then because most kids look at each other and they don't they're not like little kids are the most accepting. I mean, sometimes kids can be the biggest assholes, but they also can be very accepting. Of other people. They see their friend as their friend and they don't see the differences. But you're pointing out the differences. You're actually making it worse. But anyway, the new dolls, the old dolls. I mean, the 2018. It's been a cluster to try to get hold of dolls. And if anything has shown them about anything with Monster High, is the demand for the originals, they're calling G1 now, like ponies.
Yeah.
Is off the charts. Like the originals, you can't, when they put any kind of original doll out, it's gone. Scalpers are buying it. We're going to get to that in a minute because there was a release last night and that was a cluster. They sell immediately, like within less than a minute. And they're insanely popular. And that's where their bread and butter is. But anyway, let's talk about these new dolls and their politics and who they are now.
Yeah. Well, here's just their statement. From the beginning, Monster High stood for creating a more accepting world. Where everyone feels proud to be their authentic self.
True.
So let's change all the characters now because they're
make them inauthentic, so that
to make them more authentic.
Inauthentic. They're not authentic to themselves. That you want to be authentic to yourself. So let's take the characters that people know and love and make them completely different than themselves to make them authentic to themselves for this reboot. So
Claudine is a half werewolf, half human, and biracial, born to a werewolf mother who is Mexican and a human father who is black. Her Mexican werewolf. Her werewolf-inspired look includes an animal print jumper and a long-sleeve top with Crescent Moon print. Do they have their pronouns on the boxes now?
I think they do, actually.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I know they have them listed in places, but I don't know if it's on the boxes, but I want to say they are. But
oh my God,
beyond that.
That's stupid.
So Claudine, Chupacabra?
I was thinking it. Only if she loses her hair.
So now, sometimes they're in the one in some of the write-ups, they have like she sometimes turns human and she's afraid she won't be accepted at school now, and they are mousy and all this other shit. And it's like that. She was a
motor mouth.
No, and she was like, come on, girl,
yeah.
We're gonna get it. You know, she was never a mousy character, and now she's kind of mousy, and you know, and then we have to make she always was black. I mean, that wasn't anything surprising.
I don't think that was ever.
But now, that's not enough. Now she's got to be biracial, but she can't be white. She has to be Mexican and black.
Biracial. God. Okay, they're all kind of biracial.
They are now. Wick gets better.
Okay, with Dracula. Okay, this is Dracula. With Dracula as her father, fans will be introduced to Dracula's mother, a vampire of Taiwanese descent, as her storyline will dive deeper into her heritage.
They literally did this because the actor that's playing her is
in
Taiwanese.
The live action,
you know, because you can't play anything that you aren't.
Embracing body diversity. Translation: she's a fat doll.
So Taiwanese people are fat?
Apparently. The revamp of the original character has made her shorter and curvier than before. Dracula's look is vampire chic with heart print shorts.
It's the stupid repurpose of those. What was that one doll that was that like Hearts Club or something? Do you remember? Yeah. That's what it is. It's a repurpose of the. I bet you it's the same body mold.
Probably.
They're repurposing it. But let's talk about that. So is she from Taiwanese descent? Since we're trying to insert every damn stereotype we can, I bet you she's amazing at math.
She probably is. Frankenstein. Now, this is the one people knew about before. We didn't do a video on it before because they were doing the live action. But apparently this is not just the movie. This is affecting the entire doll line.
People are pissed though because on the box it says she.
It says she.
There's
oh
a box
my
with
god!
Her and Deuce, I think, or something, and it says she on the box.
Because
anyway.
I honestly think it was a last minute thing. They're like, oh, we have.
I mean, this one actually, of all of the changes, this one makes the most sense. In all fairness.
Well, if Ezra Miller were made up of parts of different people, which maybe Ezra Miller's killing and eating people, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. So maybe he is. I would be like, yeah, they, them, Ezra, because you're multiple people.
This one makes sense because, it's Frankenstein's monster, so it's made up from body parts. So this one, I think, is the only one that actually makes sense they can get away with. But yes, now she's the daughter, they. The box says she, though. You
don't want to offend the doll, do you? You don't want to hurt the doll's feelings.
They are the child of Dr. and Dr. Stein. And they don't specify who Dr. and Dr. Stein are, so they're probably, way it's going, two dudes, probably.
Two non-binary doctors.
It's determined not to let social norms get in their way. Frankie is non-binary and uses they/them pronouns. Frankie is the tallest of all of the other ghouls and uses a prosthetic leg, which I actually thought the prosthetic leg was cool. Their look includes platform sneakers, a plaid skirt, and lightning bolt printed blouse. But people on different Monster High boards were mad because of the back of one of the play sets or one of the dolls. It refers to it as a her.
Okay, so Laguna, which is a fish,
was from the Great Barrier Reef. It was Australian.
Australia. Nah. Laguna is from the coast of Honduras and a proud Latina.
So now we have her.
Two
Latinas. At least they didn't call it La Tinkerbell. But at least they have two. Now we have Claudine, who's half Mexican, and then we have Laguna, who's a proud Latina.
Hey, they could make that make sense. They could actually have a Latina Sphinx and call it Latinx.
There you go.
There you go. There's your missed opportunity, Mattel, and then you can trademark that shit. You can trademark it, and anybody who uses it has to pay you.
When you're trying so hard to just shove everything, it's like you have a list, like how many of these can we shove into these dolls?
This is like watching a Tumblr fanfic.
That's basically what it is.
Oh my god, they've turned Monster High. That's gonna be the title of the video. They've turned Monster High into a Tumblr fanfic.
Well, it gets better. So now Deuce Gorgon.
Okay.
Who we already knew his mom was Medusa. Well, now we'll be finally introduced to his other mother.
Okay, so Deuce has Lyra. So Deuce has two moms.
Deuce has two moms now. Yeah.
His look uses snake elements, including engraved sunglasses.
They do use elements, like they put fins on Laguna. That's normal. I mean, that's nothing unusual. But then they have these play sets and these organizers. This is just basic stuff. Now we got Ghoulia, who's going to be a Target exclusive, I believe. And now somehow Ghoulia, who was the smart zombie and slow is now some skateboard person. Is this like a play on like the sloth from Zootopia or something?
Yeah, so let's this is kind of insulting and this is where it gets weird, guys. So you buy the Ghoulia, there was backlash, and then when they rebooted it,
they got rid of her.
They got rid of her because she basically was, slow, but she was actually the smartest one in the class, but because she was a zombie.
She was a zombie and brains.
Right.
That was the joke.
Brains. So they're donating, if you buy Ghoulia, they're donating money to get away with it, right? So they don't get canceled, to the Do Something Foundation. The funds go directly to support mental health initiatives for young people.
I'm not completely against, but it's very...
Okay, this is where it comes off the rails, though.
I'm totally for anti-bullying and mental health being addressed in young people. However,
that's not what DoSomething.org is. DoSomething.org is a youth activism hub fueling young people to change the world. And there are some decent causes on here, but it's basically you buy the doll, you're paying for activism, literally. So as if they couldn't get. You can't make this up. Like, I have a hard time anymore believing that these companies, like, who are you? Don't you want to just make money? Isn't it enough just to make money? Why do we have to be like, okay, now you buy this doll, but we don't want to get canceled on Twitter or Tumblr, so you buy the slow doll, we'll give money to mental health.
Well, I think some of the things on there are really good things. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that I would not support the organization. I think they do a lot of things that are good. But they're trying to teach kids to be activists. And that's where I have a problem.
Yes.
Because that's easy to brainwash young people.
Yes.
But, being the young person before, I know it's completely easy to brainwash young people. And they're being taught in schools, not to think for themselves. That's where it's concerning. But some of the causes that is supported by the organization are actually really good causes. But remember when we were kids and you had friends and they were all different than you and they might be different genders than you, religions than you, they looked different than you, and and you learned about their cultures and stuff because you were their friend, and it didn't, you didn't have to point out the differences all the time.
Yeah, it's weird. Half my friends in California were Asian, and we didn't have that discussion very often. It was just like, it was kind of fun.
But were they fat?
No.
I'm just saying,
were they supposed to be? Were they supposed to be?
And the thing is, people are like, you're fat shaming. It's like, I'm fat.
Well, this one guy, Steve, was a little on the chubby side, but he always got the girls.
I just think it's funny. I mean, I'm fat, so I'm not body shaming anyone. I'm fat myself. But I'm just like, Draculaura was like the fashionista one, so of course, even though Claudine was a fashion designer. But it was all about, certain things. And I get, you don't want all, like, the kids to think, oh, I like to be skinny, be pretty. I get that. As a fat girl my whole life, I get it. But I'm also like, they've done these biodiversity dolls, and when you have clearances at Walmart, all the fat dolls are the ones that are still on the shelves. I'm just pointing that out. But so now they're trying to sell these dolls, and they're already selling
and activism
out
with these dolls
on pre-orders and stuff.
I gotta see the comments.
Yeah, I haven't seen the comments. And then we'll talk about the cluster that was the doll release last night.
I've never heard my grandkids use the term non-binary. Children don't call themselves non-binary on their own. It's introduced to them by activists and praised for embracing it. I'm a huge consumer, like to shop and buy often. I would never buy this product. It's actually not inclusive.
That's what I'm saying. You're actually pointing out the differences, not the similarities. And it's like, I don't know.
Wow. No, I was a fan before and I have a huge collection. I won't be adding any of these. So disappointed in Mattel. Why do toy makers get to decide what the doll's pronouns are?
That's true. Shouldn't the kids playing with it decide? That's a valid point. That's a valid point right there.
Good. My daughters have outgrown dolls just in time. Oh my God, there's like massive backlash. I love these dolls when they first came out. They were so fun. The whole new spin they're putting on it ruins it.
Because they were automatically, the whole point of Monster High was that everybody was different than each other. And they all were still friends and inclusive, and they just, here's what our similarities are that make us strong friends. And now they're like, the whole point of this is to point out how different they are from each other. That's like, they keep adding things to make them, to separate them from other characters. And when in reality, people should be accepted for who they are, and you're just pointing out issues.
None of these are good. This is hands down the worst designs ever put through the line. Doesn't even resemble what made the dolls unique. Ha for being non-binary.
Yeah, it's very feminine, true. But
it's a cash grab.
That's the one that, yeah, that's what this is. And that's the one that made sense. They literally discontinued these dolls just a few years ago. And now they're rebooting them and acting like, oh, it's for a new generation of kids. That it's 5 years later. A lot of the kids that you bought them would still buy them now.
This is one of the most ridiculous. Somebody said that I'm not going to, they're warping the minds of impressionable young girls. Awesome. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in a long time. I hope Mattel loses a ton of money. Mattel is losing money.
I think this is going to actually cause more. This promotes more segregation and division than inclusion. I think that's the problem. I mean, kids are different, and that's fine.
So this is coming from Yahoo. This is like the normiest news site out there, and people are like, hell no. Hell no. I've got a few liberals in my family and watch them over the years struggle with a number of different things when it comes to processing information.
But this isn't about just liberal and conservative. This isn't. Everybody boils it down to those things. This is just... Frankie being non-binary honestly makes sense. I'm not going to say it didn't. Sorry, 600-pound Barbie.
I wonder if 600-pound Barbie. I want to see that.
And they're like, there's no biodiversity in Monster High dolls originally. Well, that's not true. Some had tails. There was Skeleta, who was literally a skeleton. Yeah. And when you bought the doll, they had a plastic insert for her clothes to fit better when you bought the doll because it was literally a skeleton.
Oh, God. This goes on and on.
There's a couple that were really tall.
Yeah, there were actually
horses.
The thing that gets me about the original line is that, one, it was incredibly unique, and I don't think the original designer is involved. And the original designer was a gay man, if I remember correctly, and actually said that there were some characters that he thought were kind of coded as being LGBTQ. Obviously, the unicorn with the rainbow hair. I mean, everybody kind of knew that.
And no one cared.
There were some other characters that.
I wish I got that one for.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. You know what I mean? Yeah, Kiyomi Haunterly was. I never got that she was being LGBT, but I didn't read her diary. But she was Asian. I mean, diversity. They have some had horns. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They put it in there, but it wasn't the focus. Okay?
No.
Even if it was in there, it wasn't the focus. These are just like characters, and you're like, oh, they're all friends, and they all accept each other. Yay, we can be friends with whoever we want to be friends with. That, which is a positive message. The problem is now you're putting so many identifiers on these dolls that you're going to cause issues that weren't there. People might not have noticed these things about their friends, or they just accepted them, and now it's like pointing it out. And it's like, to me, that's just, you might be making more problems than you are solving them. It's just why can't people just be friends with who they want to be friends with? Why do they have to be boiled down to, you're this race, and you're this sexual orientation and that sexual orientation, and can't they just be friends because they're friends?
Yeah, I mean, the hook before was they're gothy Barbies. That was basically the hook before, and now the hook is
they're monsters.
So we're calling non-binary people and LGBTQ people and diverse people monsters now. Is this D&D? Are they learning from Hasbro? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know, but here's the thing. I think they know they shot themselves in the foot a bit because they put up a thing about with the other post on Facebook. So in response to somebody who shared it, they said, P.S. to OGs who love G1, don't fret. There is so much goodness coming your way too. Because the G1s sell. They sell immediately. It is insane how fast these dolls sell, and their demand for them is through the roof. The original dolls go for a lot of money. There's a lot of demand for the original, so they're probably like, well, we'll get cash in on that one too. But that brings me to the clusterfuck that was last night. So they decided to release these dolls, and they are the real drama dolls, and they are based on the G1s, and then they have they're black and white, the Papa color. My daughter, of course, went nuts when she saw these because she loves anything G1 Monster High. So they put these up, and now they're supposed to be coming to Walmarts and Targets, but some are getting them and other people aren't. Like, this is what happened. They had a re-release for the original 4 Monster High dolls in their original packaging, and they were supposed to come to Walmart, and they were gone immediately, and you can't get them. These, I was there, 3:01 in the morning. They launched here. It was midnight, 12:01 Pacific. And this is the only way for people overseas to get the dolls. Like, they can't go to the stores and get them. They're only going to get them on Mattel. Within a minute, every one of them was sold out. You're supposed to be limited to 2 dolls each. I got through the process, and every time I hit another step in the checkout process, including the prove you're not a bot, ironically, one of the dolls would drop out of my cart. So by the time it finally let me check out, they were all gone. And of course, they ended up on eBay immediately. Some people were had listings where they had like, here's a set of 4 for $300. I have 5 sets. Well, you're limited to 2 per person. I saw somebody had 6 dolls of each one, had 10 dolls of each one. There's people thinking that Mattel's selling them at the back door. I don't know about that, because what's the point? They could just charge more money. But, you know, anytime they have anything, these releases that are G1s, like the Haute Couture, the Haute Couture ones and all that, gone. Like, 2 minutes, boom, gone. Because people want the G1 dolls. Most people do not like the new ones. They think they're ugly. I personally think some of them aren't too bad, as long as I don't think, well, it's kind of like She-Ra. They weren't too bad as long as it wasn't a She-Ra character, because they're not the character they're supposed to be. They really aren't like the character, but the doll might not be too bad. Yeah. It's like that.
So they're kind of like knockoff versions of...
Yeah, like, I think the new Claudine's kind of cute. However, that's not Claudine. That's like a bizarro version of Claudine where she's afraid of everything. I mean, that was not Claudine.
This whole line is like a bizarro version of... Because, I mean, the whole point of it before was...
I wonder where their necks are. Frankie especially, it looks like her shoulders are up to her ears.
No, because that was one of the complaints about Barbie, was that the necks were too slender on the Barbie dolls. So they did that so Barbie can wear, and if you watch the documentary, you understood they didn't do it to make Barbie look too sexy. They did it so Barbie could wear different clothes, because the clothes were made from real fabric and they were thick, you know, so to get the clothes around her neck needed to be longer.
Well, but then even look at Claudine, her neck looks right, but look at Frankie and her neck looks like her shoulders are up to her neck. It could be the cut of the sleeves, I don't know.
Frankie has a man chest now.
They're basically talking about body diversity.
Frankie's got chest hair.
They're basically talking about body diversity, and the only doll I see here with body diversity is Draculaura. God. The rest of them look about the same. I don't know why Laguna's the colors look like pink now.
I just in general...
The legs are kind of cool though.
I just don't understand Mattel anymore, because Mattel is a company that's hurting. I mean, they've been hurting for years, and they keep doing making these bonehead decisions based on, you know, gender identity and current year politics. And we saw it with the She-Ra reboot with DreamWorks. Now that was more a DreamWorks thing. We saw it with Masters of the Universe Revelation. They tried to do the best they could do with the toy line or whatever, but they still obviously were making decisions based on current year. But what's actually selling for them, their bread and butter, would be the Origins toys and the Masterverse toys. Mm-hmm. And now they're doing it with Monster High. They've done it with Barbie. They had...
Why are we losing money and doing it so shitty? I
don't know. What? Look at all the quote-unquote diverse Barbies they had that wound up in
That's what I'm saying. They're in clearance all the time.
Clearance, because it's like, yeah, you might make a doll that makes a statistically a small group of people happy, and I think that maybe
cool, you know,
have them available on the website or something, but when you take them to Walmart's, they don't sell. Because most people just want a plain old Barbie doll.
I gotta tell you, the heavyset girls, they want the plain old Barbie doll too. They don't want the chunky one, because you're well aware they're chunky. They don't want to feel even more different. Like, my friends will have the skinny Barbie. I don't want to be and then, you know, and how insulting. Because, you know, when you go to play dolls, I don't know, maybe they'll say it's inclusive now, but if you're playing dolls with your friends and you're the fat girl and they hand you the fat Barbie, you're going to feel worse about yourself. Trust me, as somebody who's been fat my entire life, well, except when I was real little, but, you know, that would have made me feel personally attacked. I would have felt so upset that you know, oh, you get the fat one because you're fat.
Well, that's how kids play, though. I mean, that's what I'm sitting there thinking. Like, if kids are playing with these dolls, they're gonna be like, "Well, you have to have the brown one because you're the brown.
You know,
you want the brown one, right?"
I can't wait to see what kid gets. Well, you that kid stopped breathing, so they get the blue one. You know.
Oh.
I'm just like, because I'm like, they're like, well, because we have to be inclusive. I'm like, they're monsters, and they like Draculaura's pink, and you know, Frankie's blue.
And Mattel wants their bank account to be green, but I think it is. I think the Monster High brand is going to be fine, but it's going to be the original stuff and not the reboot. Not the reboot. Are we going to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of talking about these damn dolls. People are going to watch this
video anyway because they're like, why are you talking about this? But, you know,
yeah.
I have been buying Monster High dolls for years because my daughter, I mean, she loves them. And since she got her first one when she was 3, her first one was Cupid.
Yeah, Cupid. I remember from Toys R Us. Yeah.
And no, it was from Walmart.
Or Walmart?
That's what I could afford.
Oh, okay.
And ever since then, she just everything she can get her hands on Monster High, she has just loved, and all the movies, all the shows, and she is completely uninterested in this new one. And she's very, I mean, I would say she actually, she has a friend that's non-binary and stuff, and she really doesn't faze her in any way, and she's actually, supportive of this kind of stuff normally, and she's even like, this is just like pandering for pandering's sake. And I mean, because it's not about what's real, it's about trying to, to put things in there to signal that it's real.
Yeah, and it's not for the kids. It's for the activists working at Mattel. Again, it's like they're taking a cue from Hasbro, and they've gone so woke that it's actually insulting that you think that diverse people, minorities, are just monsters. They're outcasts from society. It's people are afraid of them. They're afraid of them.
They're not being monsters not enough. Now you have to be biracial, or
God.
And the thing is, they already had identities. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's a bunch of whatever. Let's just say that as a parent, I'm glad for the most part that our kids are past this.
Pink too, pink and pastel-y.
Yeah, one of the things that people liked about the originals is they were very gothy. They look like dolls you pick up.
Pastel goth is a thing too, so maybe that's what they're going for.
I don't know. I don't care. We gonna wrap this up?
Yeah.
All right.
It hurts.
Yeah, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.